There's a kind of traditional reason for Twelfth Night. The notion that on the 12th night, High Soul would elect a Lord of Misrule, or perhaps even a Lady of Misrule, who often was a servant, and they would kind of decide what was going to happen. In the same way that these days you might get a student playing the teacher on a kind of charities day or something like that in school. And that kind of seems to license this notion that in the play Twelfth Night, the normal order of things is turned on its head, and those people who should be in charge are a little confused, and they're not really focused on the kind of the affairs of state, but instead of the affairs of the heart, or the kind of focused on things which are a little bit more frivolous at that time.
But that's a controlled anarchy, isn't it? You know, I mean, we don't get the sense that this is all mayhem let loose, and we know that it's going to be, that it's containable, that the hierarchy will reassert itself. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
I mean, so,
yeah.
so it's a licensed, licensed anarchy. It does liberate, but it's also controlled, and the old order comes back, reasserts itself. Is that a little bit depressing? When all that fun and games and chaos is eventually stopped.
I suppose it's just like the play, though, isn't it? That you go to the theatre, you have a cathartic experience, and it needs to be rounded and brought back to reality as you leave the theatre, and you go off on your everyday business.
Does it make it safer, the fact that we know it's only going to last for a certain amount of time?
I think there is that sense, isn't there, that as you said, it's almost controlled. It's almost, and it's this sense as well of allowing the servants to have a little bit of fun before returning them back to
where they belong.
Absolutely.
Downstairs.
But I'm not sure that that's the same in something like Midsummer Night's Dream, because certainly there's the prompt for that. But the three different lots of characters head off for the wood for different reasons, don't they?
Yeah.
And the lovers go. Hermia's being threatened by her father because her father wants her to marry Demetrius, and she and Lysander have fallen in love, so they head off to the wood. The mechanicals go to the wood because they don't want to be found out practicing their play. And the fairies are already there, and certainly Titania said she's going to be there till after the wedding's taken place. So there are three different strands who head off for their own purposes, and I think that has a slightly different feel to the mayhem happening within the house in Twelfth Night, or indeed Much Ado, where again the location is the house, isn't it? Most of the time.
But there is the sense of going off into the woods or into the foreign country, or being shipwrecked, or where the normal order is upset in some way, and as you say, it kind of then needs to kind of work through why are those people there, what's the particular reason for bringing them there, and then how do they work through that and be returned to normality. I mean, somebody like Prospero is dispossessed for years until he's returned and the magic ends, etc.
But what interests me is the fact that in the Dream or in the Tempest, you have a different location. In Much Ado About Nothing, Romeo and Juliet, you don't have that, do you? Somehow Shakespeare has to create.
But it's not England.
No, that's true. Yeah, but I was thinking particularly of the masked balls, where identities are changed within a familiar setting. So it's that shakes up the rules of behaviour. I think the fact that you have something over your face and you can be different and woo different people.
But the same as well. I mean, the audience recognise those characters, who they are behind those masks. It is liberating. I mean, Much Ado About Nothing is quite interesting, isn't it? Because I mean, that's almost you have that feminine world suddenly penetrated by this masculine.
That's right.
Choose my words carefully here. Penetrated by this sort of masculine invasion, and then you could argue that chaos ensues, or old orders are upset, and what happens at the end? Does the masculine order assert itself, that women are silenced, and all is right with the world, or do the men actually become, I suppose, feminized? They're less than soldiers or lovers.
Husbands,
yeah. more responsible. And they go through that process of establishing or creating or finding new identities.
And there's a fear of the mask, because in the Merchant of Venice, one of the things that Shylock is particularly worried about is Jessica being involved in the Christian mask, and there's this sense that the mask is dangerous. And that there is, so again, in kind of Romeo and Juliet, there is a danger to the mask, and people know in the mask that there have been some kind of infiltration from the Montagues, and yet that's kind of somehow tolerated. It's a time where the normal order of things is allowed to kind of slip slightly. So I wonder again, is this a kind of connection or a reminder that we're in the theatre and the normal rules don't apply?
Yes, and that it's all bound. You know, the 12th night will come and go.
Yeah.
You will come into the theatre and then leave. Yes.
There's a kind of safety.
Yeah. And does that make that liberation more fun? Because fundamentally we know that it's safe.
Yeah, possibly the theatre was acting as some sort of safety valve in society. You know, and the people in charge, people in power, were quite happy for this to happen.
Yeah.
Give or take a few shutting down the theatres, but actually it was providing some sort of useful outlet for